After it was over, Van Houten walked up to me and put a fat hand on my shoulder and said, "Could I hitch you a ride? Left my renter at the bottom of the hill." I shrugged, and he opened the door to the back seat right as my dad unlocked the car. Inside, he leaned between the front seats and said, "Peter Van Houten, novelist emeritus and semi-professional disappointer." My parents introduced themselves. He shook their hands. I was pretty surprised that Peter Van Houten had flown half the way across the world to attend the funeral. "How did you even?" I started, but he cut me off. I used the infernal internet of yours to follow the Indianapolis obituary notices. He reached into his linen suit and produced a fifth of whiskey. "And you just like bought a ticket," and he interrupted again while unscrewing the cap. "It was 15,000 for a first class ticket, but I'm sufficiently capitalized to indulge such whims. And the drinks are free on the flight. If you're ambitious, you can almost break even." Van Houten took a swag of the whiskey and then leaned forward to offer it to my dad, who said, "No thanks." Then Van Houten nodded the bottle toward me. I grabbed it. "Hazel," my mom said, but I unscrewed the cap and sipped. It made my stomach feel like my lungs. I handed the bottle back to Van Houten, who took a long slug from it and then said, "So, omnis cellulae cellula." "Huh?" "Your boy Waters," and I corresponded a bit. And in his last, "Wait, you read your fan mail now?" "No, he sent it to my house, not through my publisher." And I'd hardly call him a fan. He despised me. But at any rate he was quite insistent that I'd be observed for my misbehavior if I attended his funeral and told you what became of Anna's mother. So here I am, and there's your answer, omnis cellulae cellula. "What?" I asked again. "Omnis cellulae cellula." He said again, "All cells come from cells. Every cell is born of a previous cell, which was born of a previous cell. Life comes from life. Life begets life, begets life, begets life, begets life." We reached the bottom of the hill. "Okay, yeah," I said. I was in no mood for this. Peter Van Houten would not hijack Gus's funeral. I wouldn't allow it. "Thanks," I said. "Well, I guess we're at the bottom of the hill. You don't want an explanation?" He asked. "No," I said. "I'm good. I think you're a pathetic alcoholic who says fancy things to get attention like a really precocious 11-year-old, and I feel super bad for you. But yeah, no, you're not the guy who wrote an Imperial Affliction anymore. So you couldn't sequel it even if you wanted to. Thanks though. Have an excellent life. But thanks for the booze," I said. "Now get out the car." He looked scolded. Dad had stopped the car, and we just idled there below Gus's grave for a minute until Van Houten opened the door and finally silently left. As we drove away, I watched through the back window as he took a drink and raised the bottle in my direction, as if toasting me. His eyes looked so sad. I felt kinda bad. I felt kinda bad for him, to be honest. We finally got home around 6, and I was exhausted. I just wanted to sleep, but Mom made me eat some cheese pasta, although she at least allowed me to eat in bed. I slept with the BiPAP for a couple hours. Waking up was horrible, because for a disoriented moment I felt like everything was fine, and then it crushed my anew. Mom took me off the BiPAP. I tethered myself to a portable tank, and stumbled into my bathroom to brush my teeth. Appraising myself in the mirror as I brushed my teeth, I kept thinking there were two kinds of others. There were Peter Van Houtens, miserable creatures who scoured the earth in search of something to hurt. And then there were people like my parents who walked around zombically, doing whatever they had to do to keep walking around. Neither of these futures struck me as particularly desirable. It seemed to me that I had already seen everything pure and good in the world, and I was beginning to suspect that, even if death didn't get in the way, the kind of love that Augustus and I shared could never last. So dawn goes down today. The poet wrote, "Nothing gold can stay." Someone knocked on the bathroom door. "Occupata," I said. "Hazel," my dad said. "Can I come in?" I didn't answer, but after a while I unlocked the door. I sat down on the closed toilet seat. Why did breathing have to be such work? Dad knelt down next to me. He grabbed my head and pulled it into his collarbone, and he said, "I'm sorry Gus died." I felt kind of suffocated by his t-shirt, but it felt good to be held so hard, pressed into the comfortable smell of my dad. It was almost like he was angry or something. And I liked that, because I was angry too. "It's total bullshit," he said. "The whole thing. 80% survival rate, and he's in the 20%. Bullshit. He was such a bright kid. It's bullshit. I hate it. But it was sure a privilege to love him, huh?" I nodded into his shirt. "Gives you an idea how I feel about you," he said. My old man. He always knew just what to say.